let's talk about L-theanine, which kind of looks like a illicit drug in powder form when you buy a big thing of it, but nonetheless, it can actually help you sleep, or maybe it hurts sleep. You see, L-theanine is a little bit tricky, which is why we're going to have this episode, and also why I'm filming this the second time, because the first time it had an audio issue, and you need your sleep. So here we go. So in this episode, we are going to cover what is L-theanine, where does this natural sleep aid come from, how does it work its magic, and can taking L-theanine really help with sleep, and is this a safe natural sleep aid? How does L-theanine stack up against other sleep aids, and natural ones, that is, and how do you incorporate L-theanine into your bedtime routine and also a daytime routine to help you have nice calm days and restful sleep here. And of course, how can you get better sleep without all these supplements here? So let's go ahead and dive into L-theanine, and the episode on R-theanine is elsewhere here. So L-theanine, what the heck is this? It is a amino acid found in tea, okay? Most predominantly green tea here, and it's the sole reason why when you drink green tea, yes, you get a little bit of a buzz from caffeine, but you don't get the like, oh my god, from like you would from coffee, okay? Because like 2 cups of green tea, you're okay. 2 cups of coffee, you're ready to fight a bear, okay? And so L-theanine is responsible for you not fighting a bear, not only realistically, but also at a nervous system level, because L-theanine keeps you nice, calm, and relaxed through a lot of cool mechanisms here. Okay, so it's found from tea, black tea as well, have a little bit less. Mushrooms have it as well. We don't have time to talk about mushroom beverages, but this is just about how L-theanine acts as an amino acid and is essentially a signaling molecule. Okay, and it will react with receptors and biochemical pathways to help you relax for the most part here. Okay, so it's pretty natural in that sense here, and how it works is what I want to dive into, because it's a good compound because it helps you relax but doesn't cause drowsiness. But how does it help with sleep? Stick with me. Okay, so it has a lot of daytime effects as well, because it can improve focus and mental alertness. Again, which is why I have this like wishy-washy title, like, is it a dream or is it a nightmare? You need to know how to use it properly here. Okay, so how does it work? Because when you understand more about the mechanism, you can make better decisions instead of being someone who's just, oh, what am I going to add to my Amazon cart this time around? You've read it, you've researched, you take it, you hope it works, and then it doesn't work. Because there lacks a fundamental understanding of how it really works. And even if you feel like it does work, or you really understand how it does work, you're still missing some key pieces here. Okay, that's why you're here. Okay, so L-theanine, how it works. All right, so it targets the brain. Okay, crosses that blood-brain barrier like it's nothing to it here. And once it's in your brain, it will have an effect on many different neurotransmitters. One of them, it will boost GABA. That is your main calming neurotransmitter here. It also increases dopamine, which is your main pleasure, concentration neurotransmitter. As you can tell, these are two opposing things, right? And it also influences serotonin. And now, up, down, left, right, it doesn't really matter here to get specific, because serotonin is not just as simple as up and down when there's like 5 different receptors and each receptor has like 3 to 5 different subclasses. Okay, it just modulates serotonin. All right, capiche? So in doing so, it creates a overall effect of being calm and relaxed here. Okay, that's what allows it to be something that's relaxing. Now, the other piece to this, it also reduces the release of cortisol here. And it will also block the effects of glutamate, which is your main excitatory neurotransmitter. So you can see how overall, it has a lot of different effects, but it's stacking to being able to allow you to relax here. Okay, so that's how it does it here. But again, remember, there's no free lunch here. And what I mean by that is, with all the great benefits a supplement may have, one thing I always want to make very clear, golden rule, you may want to write this one down. If your body makes it, thou shalt probably not take it here. Okay. And yes, your body doesn't make L-theanine, but when it is altering these pretty active neurochemicals that your body is supposed to make naturally, and then you're stimulating it in a way, you are one creating a dependence on something here. So like our clients, like some of them, in some scenarios, we will recommend L-theanine here, but with the caveat of making sure you've done some other things to your mitochondria, your environments, to make sure your baseline levels of these excitatory or stressful hormones are down. Okay, or having exercises or techniques in place so that you're not like all jittery, you're not like, reaching for a big tub of L-theanine the moment you start to have some overwhelm. All right. So the moment you become dependent on something, that's a weakness by itself, and that's what can create a little bit of that anxiety around not being able to have the thing that gets rid of your anxiety, ironically. But also causes resistance, right? You become dependent, you need more and more and more. And as that goes on, like, the things that are causing cortisol to go up, dopamine to not be where it should be, those are not getting addressed. So you reach this like critical moment, all right? And this is when, like, for you, like looking at all the supplements you have, looking at yourself in the mirror, like, where is this going? Okay? Because, it is frustrating to look at all of them. I mean, that's why you sometimes get tired of trying. But that's not you. That's why you're here. So in terms of, how L-theanine works, yes, sounds great biochemically, but like, what has it been shown to actually do here? Okay? So like I said, L-theanine promotes relaxation. At a neurochemical level, that's what we saw. But honestly, whenever someone's talking about that, like, those were all rodent studies, so like, to know that, you would have to crack open the skull of a human, and that's like frowned upon in the majority of research circles. So what is observable at a human level is that you give someone L-theanine, their alpha brain waves will increase. Think of alpha waves as like wakeful relaxation here. And during the day, like right now, unless you just took some L-theanine or something else, don't tell me what that something else is, your brainwaves are typically in a beta state, aware, alert, looking around, looking over there, looking over here, listen to me there. And when you're in a beta state, it's much harder to sleep, okay? A beta state will prevent the release of melatonin to a sufficient level here. So the main goal you want for bed is to be able to shift into an alpha brainwave state here. And they are required to go into the first stage of sleep. Thus, L-theanine induces alpha waves to help you fall asleep. But wait, there's more, and I'm sorry if that was a volume alert. I apologize if your eardrums were knocked out. Sorry about that. But L-theanine not only helps you relax in the sleep, it also enhances sleep quality. Okay, this is all without making you drowsy here. So, research has found that in a study, people are given L-theanine before bed. Improved sleep quality subjectively was found in 67% of participants. Pretty good, 2/3 here. And then in terms of stats here, it's reduced sleep latency. Well, let me say that in plain English. People fall asleep about 10 minutes faster here. Okay, it reduces nighttime awakenings here, and it increases the duration of sleep by about 20 minutes per night. It also boosts the better parts of sleep. Because think about this. If you're going to bed sooner and you're in deeper stages of sleep, you're not going to be in these higher levels of sleep. You're going to be in the lower ones where they're more impactful, like REM. Well, oh man, some sleep scientists just rolled in their grave here. You're going to improve non-REM sleep. Those are the deeper stages of sleep, N3, N4, if people are even still using N4 in the nomenclature. But also REM sleep, which is a very high state of sleep. Okay, that's why I said. So REM sleep's all the way, non-REM sleep's all the way at the bottom. REM sleep is very close to a wakeful state here. But these are the two most important stages of sleep, arguably. They're both selectively increased here by about 20% each. Cool. So yes, a slight bump in the total amount of time you're asleep. A pretty good bump in the quality if measured by REM and non-REM here. Okay? And, a lot of that I think has to come from the reduced nighttime awakenings here. So in the study, it was like 50%. Like, what does that mean? If you go from 4 to 2, that's awesome. If you go from 2 to 1, like, that's going to have a huge impact on your sleep there. Now, before you go, just like stop this, just okay, go, great, thanks, Dr. Dillon. I'm gonna go buy some L-theanine. Hold on. So, first we gotta talk about the potential side effects and concerns here. Okay, so general safety of L-theanine. So this is a term FDA will stamp on things like, is it going to kill you? Is it not going to kill you? And this is definitely in the category of probably won't kill you. So it's labeled generally recommended as safe, or GRAS if you want to sound really cool. So it has a pretty big therapeutic window. That's great, okay? Because things like, say, certain sleep medications, they don't, okay? If you double the dose on a sleep medication, that's going to be bad. If you double the dose of L-theanine, not so bad, okay? Now, even though L-theanine's pretty safe, it still will have a side effect profile: headaches, dizziness, GI issues. Okay, so if you have those, listen up. Or if you don't, keep that in your mind if you plan to introduce it here. So headaches, and this is all from the same study, all these findings of side effects here. And so pretty much across the board, headaches, dizziness, and GI upset. The L-theanine group did report more of it, but it wasn't statistically significantly different because of just sample size here and how it was measured here. But what I've really noticed in our clients is just this here, because we get people who have done like a ton of supplements, and they also get to a point where they're super sensitive to supplements because their nervous system is like all over the place here. So they're more prone to these things. Okay, so if you're someone already prone to dizziness, headaches, GI upset, you may not want to consider L-theanine. Still listen, because it may have a better benefit risk profile if you know everything, but just be super aware of that. Okay, everything always has a consequence here. Like, and that's why like we have clients who like, not just L-theanine, but like they take B vitamins, they take a detox thing, and they just go completely sideways. And that can just what make things so frustrating. Like you invest like thousands into a functional medicine or integrative, and then you just get worse, right? Or maybe you go through that temporary like detox little bump there, but then it just doesn't pan out well here. So yes, L-theanine can help you relax here, but again, at what cost, right? Because L-theanine is sometimes a good short-term solution, but you need a long-term solution to get the real issues underneath here, okay? Always keep that in mind here. Now, L-theanine, talked about it by itself, but many times people are taking many supplements and even many medications here. So what are the big interactions you need to know about? One, blood pressure medications. Ones that make your blood pressure go down. Some people with chronic fatigue will be on blood pressure go up medications, but antihypertensive medications. So L-theanine may lower blood pressure, okay, too much in conjunction with antihypertensive agents. So if you're already on blood pressure medications, L-theanine might drop you too low. If you're someone, like I was saying, with chronic fatigue, POTS, or maybe you just stand up and you just get lightheaded, or you just sit up and that happens, L-theanine may not be for you. It may bottom out your blood pressure too much here. L-theanine, remember, acts on dopamine. Okay, maybe you're taking some ADHD medications. Okay, because when you're having brain fog and you're not sleeping well, you need something to get through a day, right? Don't beat yourself up about it. But even so, it's waning on you, right? When you're trying to keep it together in a meeting or during a project, but definitely at home, you just feel like your head's in like a hot paper bag. So L-theanine may enhance the effects of that, okay? So just be aware. It may be, I haven't ever taken, these amphetamine drugs here, but it would just be more intense. And then eventually it leads to reducing their effectiveness. Kind of has this curve effect here. And then in a similar vein, L-theanine, it doesn't make you drowsy per se. It allows you to be drowsy. Does that make sense? Because if you're not relaxed, it's much harder to get drowsy, okay? If you're relaxed, you can get drowsy, right? So L-theanine allows you to be drowsy, but doesn't make you drowsy. Now, if you are taking something that makes you drowsy, and then you combine it with something that makes you relaxed, L-theanine, that together, that can be dangerous. Okay, so if you're someone taking sedatives, other sleep aids, and if you have somewhere to be in the morning, or you're trying to do something before bed, you have been warned. It will make you really drowsy here. Altogether, internet disclaimer, make sure you talk with your healthcare provider about all of this. All right. So how much dosage? So there's two use cases for L-theanine, right? Daytime for anxiety, because one thing I probably should mention more, it relaxes you, but that's independent of like if you're being relaxed for sleep or like you need to be relaxed during the daytime because I don't know, your mother-in-law is coming over. And Barb, I love you if you're listening to this, but just saying, and I just saved myself for Christmas this year. Haha. Ooh. Anyway, let's just keep moving on. So, stress reduction, 100 to 200 milligrams of L-theanine, 1 to 2 times per day. Okay, that's what you want to do. For sleep, 200 to 400 milligrams L-theanine, 30 60 minutes before bed. Here. Now, can you combine the two? Yes, you can, but it will reduce the effectiveness. So, honestly, when we're working with our clients, we will just say pick one or the other. I mean, we recommend which one's going to be better than the other. But if you're using it too much, you're going to really reduce the effectiveness of it here. Okay. But again, remember, make sure that you talk with your healthcare provider. I should get a jingle. That would be so cool. If anyone knows how to make that, let me know. I would love that. Just like press it and be like, talk with your healthcare provider. Okay. L-theanine. You may be thinking about taking it, but how does it compare to other sleep aids? Here. So, first, let's compare it to the heavy hitters here. So, I'm just going to, we've talked about L-theanine enough. Let's just talk about prescription meds here. So, across the board, whether I mean, we won't need to name names, nor do I want to for liability reasons, but sleep medications are a lot more heavy-handed. They have a lot more side effects, okay? Now, that's not to say they're all bad, because when it's heavy-handed and you have like a heavy, like your sleep is garbage, like awful insomnia. You're waking up multiple times a night. And like the only way you can have any amount of sleep is with one of these sleep medications. Okay. You know, it isn't the best it could be. But like until you get to the root issues, it's going to have to be a bridge for you, right? It's never safe to go off sleep medications just because you're feeling it. Okay, it isn't. But at the same time, like recognize it is a temporary stepping stone. So if you're on it, it's okay. All right, we're gonna take you care, get you to the root issues here, but do know that if you're someone with serious sleep issues, the reason I have this comparison, L-theanine may not do anything for you. So if like sleep medications barely do it for you, L-theanine's like, it's like spitting in the wind. I'm not even sure if that's the right thing. Maybe a drop of water in the ocean. That's way better. So, but at what cost, right? Because L-theanine has very few side effects unless, those other circumstances we talked about. Whereas sleep medications, dependency, mood issues, weight gain, it ain't pretty. Okay. So, that's what you want to consider here. Because if you have big sleep issues, like you really need to get to the core of your sleep issues here. Because otherwise you're on that or you're trying other supplements and then, you just cycle and like crash and like literally like some people will say like, oh yeah, not sleeping is not that bad. I don't think that person's ever had sleep problems. Like literally every single night being a nightmare and then the next day being a miserable slog. All right. You have every right to take sleep medications here if prescribed by a provider. So that's against the prescription. Now what about natural things? Melatonin, GABA/valerian, and chamomile. What about that? So this is really like an apples to orange comparison. And this like really like, this isn't fair, but people ask this, so I figured I'd help you out here. So they're all different. You can combine some of them at your own risk. No one knows what the interactions are with these ones. But melatonin, first one. Melatonin breaks the golden rule of you make it, don't take it, for the most part. So melatonin may have some temporary effectiveness that some people demonstrate, but it loses its effectiveness here. Whereas L-theanine will maintain that unless you go into super high doses. And melatonin works more on getting your circadian rhythm right than modulating all these different neurotransmitters here. So that's the big difference between the two, where like melatonin may like work really well for a little bit. It like always loses effectiveness. Okay. There are very few people who are like, oh yeah, melatonin long term. Like, I had not talked to many of those people, like on our initial client calls. Uh, so that's a comparison between melatonin. Now, L-theanine to GABA. What does GABA have going for it? Really strong relaxation, really strong sedation here. Now, too strong is the phrase here. Because GABA works on just one pathway, GABA. So GABA, if it's just by itself, or valerian root, or other like herbs there, but valerian root is really the main one. That's gonna be too heavy-handed for most people. Like, and again, it's gonna work really well. Like, oh yeah, this is great. But then you become resistant to it, and then you also favor one biochemical pathway as opposed to touching on many lightly. Because that's the big benefit of L-theanine. It interacts with many different pathways, but none of them too heavily, which I always like way better. Don't get me wrong, GABA, again, like if we were to imagine, like a lot of times with our clients, if they're on a sleep med and it's appropriate, right, and the discussions have been had with the right healthcare providers, bridging from a sleep medication to like not, like usually GABA is a part of that there, like going down a little bit in the sleep med and even using GABA as a bridge here. Now, not everyone needs to do that, because a lot of times when we're getting someone's circadian rhythm right, like sleep is one of the things that just boop turns right around here, where we're teaching them, okay, make sure you're doing this in the morning, make sure you're doing this in the evening, throughout the day, and being able to have a set rhythm and routine. So your body's set rhythm and routine to sleep is way, way higher. Okay, but again, GABA can be a bridge. Third most common one is actually chamomile. I didn't know this was the third most common natural supplement, but here we are. Chamomile is like GABA. It's like GABA Junior. Okay, in that it has less relaxation than GABA, less drowsiness, but I would say chamomile probably more so than L-theanine. And what chamomile also has going for it is, yes, it's milder, but it's also more pleiotropic, or it acts on multiple different pathways at the same time here. Honestly, I would say between the two, they have, like between L-theanine and chamomile, they have a similar effect and a similar risk-benefit ratio. So they're good options either way here, okay? And so with all of this, you have to consider, like, some of these may work for you, none of these may work for you, okay? So that's what you really have to consider when using these things here. Like, we've had people, like, they're alternating between all of them. But at that point, you feel like you're, like, literally like a natural sleep aid, like, addict in a way here, because you have to use like 4 things to sleep, alternate them all the time. You're going to cause so many disruptions to your sleep pathways that it's just going to like ruin the natural architecture of your sleep here. Okay, so that's what you want to watch out for when you're using all of these. All right, so those are the natural comparisons here, and again, you know, those are the kind of the main things, but the real question you want to ask is actually not which sleep supplement is best here. Okay, because yes, we went over L-theanine and what that should look like. But the other thing you want to consider is, like, why do you need any sleep supplements at all? Okay, these are the things we're not really talking about here. Okay, now before we get into that, really, again, remember, if you do want to take L-theanine before bed, 200, 400 milligrams, about an hour before bed there. Okay? And the other things about L-theanine is, in terms of selection, yeah, that's what I wanted to get to. You want to be really careful, because like whenever there's an L in front of a supplement, okay, that means you're looking at an isomer. Okay? So like my hands, they're isomers of each other. I have a right hand and I have a left hand here, okay? You can put them over each other, right? Well, I guess it's a racemic mixture here, not an isomer. No, racemic isomers here. What am I thinking? Isotype. Anyway, my hands fit over each other, but they're not the same hand. This sounds so stupid. But essentially, the handiness of the molecule, you have left-handed molecules and right-handed molecules. That's why you'll see like D-ribose. That's a right-handed molecule. You see L-theanine, left-handed molecule. And a lot of times when supplement companies are just trying to push out products here, they will give you a racemic mixture. That means a mix of both the L, or the left hand, that was my right hand, but right hand and left-handed molecules here. Just like a glove, the receptors that the molecules as a hand go into, really important here, because if you try to put your right hand into a left glove, it feels really weird and you look really dumb. Okay, I'll just say it. So you want to make sure it's like 100% L-theanine. A racemic mixture of theanine, L and D-theanine, is going to be less effective here. So that's like one of the most important things. Okay. The other thing is the purity, because like I said, there's white powders. You want to make sure it's the right powder here, and being able to know, does it have some sort of third-party testing, whether that is NSF, USP, to make sure that the product's purity is what it says it is. Okay, and then lastly, always check that label. Is it just L-theanine and whatever's in the capsule like gelatin? If that's the case, you're good to go. If there's like other weird stuff here, ignore that. Okay, so again, that's when you're choosing this, if you do. Because the other choice you can have, besides L-theanine, is like, do you want yet another sleep supplement, and do you want to go on the roller coaster of, ooh, new thing, and then, all right, this is not working. Because if you don't want to go on that roller coaster, the one thing you can choose to do is be able to get to the root issue here. Okay, and that real issue, it's with your mitochondria here, because mitochondria are critically important for sleep here. Okay, here's a few reasons. One, your mitochondria produce energy to allow your brain to work during sleep, because sleep is actually a highly energetically expensive process here. Okay, so if you don't produce enough ATP to sleep, that's biochemical energy, then you can't sleep very well. Okay, you're waking up a ton here. Your mitochondria also produce melatonin. This is your sleep hormone. All right, and so if mitochondria function is bad, then you're not producing a whole lot of melatonin, and then you're not able to fall asleep or stay asleep very well. Okay, and then the third big thing is that mitochondria allow your neurons, or central nervous system as a whole rather, to detox at night to help improve sleep efficiency. Because like if you're waking up in the morning, you feel like you haven't slept, and you feel like a truck hit you, and you're just already dreading the day, and that second cup of coffee is not cutting it, that's because your mitochondria did not allow your neurons to shrink or condense to allow the flow of all the crap out of your brain and into all those little elimination pathways there. So your mitochondria are massively, massively important for your sleep, and like that's really what's at the cause of not only sleep issues, but so many other things. Okay, so to help you out, because I know we talked a lot about L-theanine here, that was the main value I wanted to provide for you here today, but I always want to keep helping you out. And so one of the things I want to invite you to learn is more about the mitochondria. So we have a video on that. Make sure you check it out, ochnow.com/learn. And not only will that like build upon what we talked about with mitochondria and sleep, it really goes over and touches so many other components of what your mitochondria are related to. Because you see, people rarely have just sleep issues, right? Maybe it's sleep, gut, thyroid, adrenals. But the thing is, like, really what's at the core are your mitochondria. And if you don't get to that, that's when you're just like skipping a rock at the surface of what you need to do here. So your mitochondria are the foundation of how your body works. And when you don't have it, that's when you're not working. Not working like to your fullest at your job. You're at home and you just, you could work out, you could be with your kids, but you're just like on the couch, or if you do manage to get off, you're just half present, like, who wants to lay those memories down, right? So if you want help with that, go to our masterclass there, ochnow.com/learn. Now, maybe you've already seen that. I don't know. Maybe you watched quite a few of our episodes or joined in here, and if you want to be able to connect, to be able to see, hey, how can we help you? Okay, we have our free health strategy session where we get together and we talk about what's going on with you, your issues, have a very real look, your goals, and if we can help you, we'll lay out that path in our assistance together. And if we can't, we'll let you know. We don't want to drag you through any more frustration if it's something that's not a fit or can't help you. Okay, so that is ochnow.com/talk. Imagine that. You want to talk to us? It's ochnow.com/talk. It's like some thought went into these links. So go ahead and grab that if you are into that. Okay, so if not, okay, if you don't want to learn, don't go to ochnow.com/learn. If you don't want to talk, don't go to that link. If you want to watch more videos, listen to more episodes, you can totally do that as well. So whatever you want to do, enjoy it. Okay, so thank you for sticking with me. The second time was great for this one, and I'll see you wherever I see you next. All right,